From tiny to trend-setting, small space residential interior design hacks. Hello and welcome back to Design Stories. I'm your host, and today we're diving into one of the most exciting challenges in interior design, making small spaces absolutely spectacular. Whether you're living in a cozy studio apartment, a compact townhome, or just working with those tricky smaller rooms that seem impossible to style, this episode is packed with game-changing insights that will transform how you think about limited square footage. You know, there's something magical that happens when we're forced to work within constraints. Some of the most innovative, beautiful, and functional spaces I've ever encountered have been the smallest ones. At YOLO Interiors, where I've spent over 3 decades creating award-winning residential and commercial spaces, we've learned that size truly doesn't determine style. In fact, small spaces often become the most memorable because every single design decision has to be intentional. So let's start with the foundation of great small space design, and that's understanding that your space needs to work harder than larger rooms. Think about this. In a sprawling living room, you can have a sofa that's just a sofa. But in a small space, that same piece of furniture might need to be seating, storage, and even a room divider all at once. This is where the magic of multifunctional design comes into play. Now let's talk about one of the biggest misconceptions I hear all the time, that small spaces should only use light colors and minimal furniture. Here's the truth. Small spaces can absolutely handle bold colors, rich textures, and statement pieces. The key is being strategic about where and how you use them. Consider this approach. Create one stunning focal point that draws the eye and makes the space feel intentional rather than cramped. This might be a dramatic accent wall, an oversized piece of art, or even a bold colored sofa that becomes the room's personality. What's particularly interesting about small space design is how vertical space becomes your best friend. Most people focus solely on floor space, but the real opportunity lies in thinking three-dimensionally. Floor-to-ceiling storage, floating shelves that draw the eye upward, and even hanging plants can make your ceilings feel miles high. I always tell my clients to imagine their walls as valuable real estate. Every inch should serve a purpose, whether that's storage, display, or visual interest. Here's another crucial insight that many people overlook. Lighting can completely transform the perception of space. Poor lighting makes even large rooms feel cramped, while thoughtful lighting can make a tiny space feel expansive and luxurious. Layer your lighting with multiple sources rather than relying on a single overhead fixture. Table lamps, wall sconces, LED strips under shelving, and even string lights can create depth and ambiance that tricks the eye into seeing more space than actually exists. Now let's address the storage elephant in the room. In small spaces, clutter isn't just unsightly, it's suffocating. But smart storage doesn't mean hiding everything away. Think about storage as part of your design aesthetic. Beautiful baskets, stylish boxes, and open shelving with carefully curated displays can provide function while adding to your space's visual appeal. The goal is to make storage feel intentional rather than apologetic. What's fascinating is how mirrors and reflective surfaces can literally double your space visually. But here's where most people go wrong. They think one large mirror is the solution. Actually, multiple mirrors and reflective elements throughout the space create a more natural sense of expansion. Consider mirrored furniture, metallic accents, and even glossy finishes on cabinets or tiles. Here's a game-changing concept that we use in all our small space projects: creating zones within your space. Even in a studio apartment, you can define distinct areas for sleeping, working, cooking, and relaxing without building walls. This might be as simple as using a bookshelf as a room divider, changing your flooring or rugs to define areas, or using lighting to create intimate zones within the larger space. Think about this. Some of the world's most expensive real estate, from Manhattan penthouses to London flats, proves that small can be incredibly luxurious. The secret isn't trying to make your space look bigger. It's about making it feel perfectly proportioned and intentionally designed for your lifestyle. One final insight that I think will surprise you: embrace the coziness. There's something incredibly appealing about spaces that feel like a warm hug rather than a vast, empty warehouse. Small spaces have an intimacy that larger spaces often struggle to achieve. When you stop fighting against the size and start designing with it, you create something truly special. As we wrap up today's episode, remember that exceptional design isn't about square footage. It's about creating spaces that tell your story and support your life beautifully. Every single one of these strategies can be implemented regardless of your budget or whether you own or rent your space. If today's episode has sparked some ideas for your own small space transformation, I'd love to help you bring those visions to life. Visit us at YOLOinteriors.com to explore our portfolio of small space makeovers and learn more about our design services. You can also reach out directly to discuss how we can help create your own tiny but trend-setting space. Until next time, remember, it's not about the space you have, it's about the story you tell within it.